Okay, I've started recording.
Okay. I guess I realize in some podcasts too, they kind of re-say this like 2 seconds of really important stuff. If someone decides to jump into the series on this episode. We kind of did that yesterday though, I feel like. But it's like we're what? 2 actors and this is the podcast for millennials. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We'll just do a brief one. Hold on a second. I got a burp coming up.
Nice.
Okay. Hello and welcome to Poor Unfortunate Podcast. I'm Connor Perkins.
I'm Caroline Ametti.
And morale is low. Morale is low.
Yeah, We're having a hard time.
It's rough. It's rough out there.
If you've listened to the podcast previously, we've explained that we're both actors, and part of the reason that we made this podcast is to just bring some stability, creativity, and joy into our lives, and just trying to be an actor and all of the things you have to do to try to be an actor on the side. It's just hitting us real hard this week.
Yeah, it sucks.
It's really bad.
It sucks. It sucks pretty bad.
Yeah. So.
But anyway, this is your. This is because it's not just ours. It's yours as well. Disney.
That's so nice.
I know. You're welcome. I just gave you a gift. But this is your friendly Disney podcast where we shoot the shit about Disney the way that you would with your friends. So for all those grown up Disney kids who are looking to shoot the shit about Disney in the way that they talk to you with their friends. Also, I'm giving options.
Yes,
that's really what's happening right now.
I assumed as much. I didn't think that you would malfunction.
Great. So yeah, today we're going to do something a little bit different compared to the last 2 episodes. So we're sort of shaking up the format. So this week is our tips and tricks week. So this episode is going to focus on tips and tricks that me and Caroline have for you. This one specifically is going to be about Walt Disney World. But in the future, the tips and tricks could be anything. It could be Instagram merch shops. It could be Disneyland. It could be Disney resorts. It could be...
Especially because Disney World is so vast. We're giving you a very brief overview today of some just really interesting little tidbits.
Yeah. So if you're a person who's yawn Disney parks, 1, how dare you? And 2...
You've come to the wrong place.
Yeah. And 2, these are some helpful hints for when you go to Disney, because you should go. And just also keep in mind, we're not going to just keep this to Disney parks for our tips and tricks. There's a lot of other stuff that is out there that you might need some helpful hints on, like Shop Disney.
We're big Shop Disney fans. We'll sit here and we'll just flip right through all of the available merchandise on the couch.
What Instagram merchandise shops are the best? What mainstream shops are the best for stuff that's going on?
Yeah, maybe we'll do a whole little shopping episode because we have problems.
Yeah, Hot Topic is bringing it, yo.
That's what we sit. We sit and we flip through every Disney page of Hot Topic. One time, remember, it was 50 pages and we looked at all of it.
We looked at all of them together. We laid on the couch.
We did.
Lovers. And we went through it all.
It's so funny. People who don't know us are going to be like, what's going on there?
They're going to be like, oh my God, they live together too? What's happening? So this is our tips and tricks episode where we're going to give you some helpful hints, hidden secrets about all kinds of Disney things. This one
I'm going to cover what you should eat because that's a huge part of my Disney World experience.
Yeah, this episode specifically, we're doing Disney World.
Yes.
I'm going to give you a little sort of, not foreshadowing, forewarning, that I am hella struggling because I'm a structure boy and Caroline is loosey-goosey. She's just like, fuck it, it'll happen. And I'm just like, I need everything planned out. So this is going to be very new for me to be this loosey-goosey. So bear with me.
Yeah, because some interesting tips just flow naturally into other ones. So just take the ride with us.
Yep. Do you have anything to add before we get started?
I don't think I do. Okay. I'm ready to go.
Great. So Walt Disney World, it is a resort that is located in Orlando, Florida. Jesus Christ.
Someone listening's like, what?
I know. This is my hidden secret that most people don't know.
You picked the first park. Mix it up for us.
Okay.
What are we going to talk about first?
Let's do Animal Kingdom first.
Animal Kingdom.
Okay, so I'm going to do one that's kind of twofold. So it's like a little hidden secret. And kind of like a special, like a hidden secret. It's kind of... it's like hidden secret / tip for people. So I'm going to focus on Expedition Everest. For those of you who don't know, Expedition Everest is located in the Asia part of the park, which is kind of towards the back of the park, center right-ish. Just look for the big ass mountains, and that's the way to go. Not the ones that are floating, though. That's the other way.
Oh, yeah.
I know, they just complicate it. They add more mountains, and I'm like...
I love them, though.
So, Expedition Everest, for those of you who don't know, the storyline of it is you are explorers who are going up into the Himalayas to search for the Yeti. So, you're going like up the mountain to Mount Everest to see if you can, find evidence of the Yeti. The theming, oh my god, the theming for this queue is, worth the ride.
Connor loves queues.
I do love a queue because I think that's what sets Disney parks so far above anything else, because they're going to build your anticipation for it, and they're gonna immerse you in it so that it's not just a ride, it's an experience. So the first part of it is when you get up to the actual train, the actual car, pay attention to the caboose because it's all the way on the right, and it has this giant sort of smokestack in the back because you're riding in what's meant to look like a train, and it has a bunch of luggage sort of bound to it to sort of really kind of lean into the theming of it. So when the train pulls up into the station before you board, if you look at the chimney, when it stops, it puffs smoke out of the chimney, which is really cool. But since there's no way of actually being able to, put the smoke in the actual car to go through the ride with you, if you look really close, you can actually see that sort of the smoke vapor sort of whatever is coming up from underneath the tracks. So they have this contraption that's underneath the train that blows up through the hollow chimney to kind of give you that little fun effect. And see, that's the Disney magic. My tip for you on this ride is, if you have to wait in line, don't stress because you have tons of stuff to look at. But I would advocate waiting a little bit longer to sit in the front seat of the train. And I know that there's some people who are like, I don't want to sit in the front seat because I'll fall out and break my neck or whatever, or I want to sit in the back because that's gonna whip me around and break my neck that way. And I'm like, enough breaking with your necks. I recommend sitting in the front seat because there is a part of the ride where you sort of go to the top of the mountain, and there's a sort of canyon sort of thing at the top of the mountain where it looks like the Yeti has ripped the track that you're riding your train on, where it ends and it's sort of mangled, and there's this balcony eagle thing that comes in. But if you are in the front seat and you sort of crane your neck a little bit, that is the only point where you can see all of the parks. You can see Cinderella Castle way in the distance. You can see the Tower of Terror from Hollywood Studios, and you can see Spaceship Earth. It's kind of hard. You don't have a whole lot of time to sort of...
I was going to say, how do you manage to do that?
Yeah, so you got to sort of take it all in as quickly as possible before, you start plunging backwards.
Yeah, I would never know. I've never been on the ride, and I probably never will.
And that's because she's a chicken shit.
Yes. You know what? I'm just going to be like, yeah, I'm a chicken shit. All right?
I'm going to get her on this ride. I swear I'm going to get her on this ride.
I can be bribed with souvenirs. So.
And I am prepared. I have the money saved. I am ready to get you on this ride. Because it's honestly one of the best coasters I've ever ridden. But it's a really, really cool moment in terms of just like seeing the vastness of the Disney property. And it's the only point in which you can see all the 4 parks. So if you're willing to wait a little bit extra, get into the front of that car and crane your neck a little bit so you can see a really, really cool view of the property. And that's my little Expedition Everest.
You gave me some fresh insight.
Little tip.
Because I just know nothing about that ride because I won't go near it.
Right. So. And so now I'm like, oh, I'm enticing you towards the ride.
All
where you're like,
we can call it that.
I kind of want to ride that now. I want to see that view because I can't see that anywhere else, right?
Sure.
Right, Carol?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You're going to go on that ride?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to go on that ride? So, Caroline, what do you have for us?
My tip about Animal Kingdom has a lot to do with timing. You cannot go to Animal Kingdom and not go on the Kilimanjaro Safari.
Yes. This is my other tip.
Where else can you get the experience of seeing all of these animals up close and personal? So you absolutely have to do it. And I would say show up to Animal Kingdom as early as you can. Go to park opening if you're staying on Disney property and they have the morning extra magic hours that you get if you stay in a Disney resort. Definitely take advantage and head straight for the Kilimanjaro Safari or get a fast pass. Even though if you go when it opens, you won't need one. Because that daybreak time is when all of the animals are out. It's not too hot.
Yeah, it's right after they're feeding.
They just ate. They're happy.
Yeah.
And they're out and chilling before the middle of the day gets too hot. And just, I guess my tip is remember that we're animals too. So Animal Kingdom gets real hot in the middle of the day, and you should also hide because Animal Kingdom, just out of all of the parks, has the least amount of air-conditioned spaces.
Yeah.
It's full of vegetation, which makes it very hot and humid and sticky.
Mm-hmm.
There's no place to run for cover sometimes. Sometimes I'm in there, I'm like, I gotta get out of here. So, I mean, if you're going to stay there all day, you can hop into the Nemo show.
Yes.
Which is wonderful.
Yes. Do not knock Finding Nemo the musical.
Yeah, it's an equity production, y'all.
It is an equity production. Music written by Bobby Lopez, the composer of Avenue Q, Book of Mormon, and Frozen. I mean, it's a good time. It's a great way to like take a moment to just like really cool down. It's a great moment if you're just like, I need to like slow my roll, because I mean, Animal Kingdom, it's not as big as like Epcot is in terms of like the size of the property, but it does have the most hills.
It's just there's a lot of places that you can walk.
Yeah, they designed the park so that it moves with the land because they're trying to be one with nature and stuff like that. That's part of the whole kind of like point of the park is the communion with nature. So they didn't really do a whole lot of leveling things out. So you're gonna be tired when you're in Animal Kingdom. There's gonna be some inclines. I mean, just getting up to like the Tree of Life from the entrance, you're walking up a hill. Yeah, and it's a pretty hefty hill.
Definitely.
So
and I also, usually you can use a meal to have that be your break. And so many of the quick service restaurants are not air conditioned and are mostly have just like outdoor seating. So
and windows and big windows.
Yeah, it's just pretty brutal.
It traps the heat inside.
Yeah, and so I say go back to your hotel and come back, or if, like I said, if you're gonna stay the whole day, that's a good time for Nemo. But
great time for Nemo. Great time for Festival of the Lion King too, because when you get inside, it's also hella air conditioned.
Yeah,
you can duck outside the park to the Rainforest Cafe if you want some like.
That's my family's go-to move. Although one time we were like, okay, time to run away to the Rainforest Cafe, but we had just been on Cali River Rapids and we were soaked. And then froze to death inside Rainforest Cafe, and so all came out with new Rainforest Cafe apparel, sweatpants and sweatshirts.
Hey, I mean,
so I would say, and then there's some cool things happening at night there now. They have the Rivers of Light nighttime show, which is a pretty new addition. And the park really, it starts to shut down pretty early at night, I feel like, because Animal Kingdom is only now just starting to stay open later. But it's extremely pleasant to walk around there when it's getting to be twilight and it's cooled off. It's really nice. So
especially in Pandora.
Oh my gosh, and you can see the bioluminescent lights.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so nice.
But yeah, specifically with Kilimanjaro Safari, it is the premier attraction of Animal Kingdom. It's not to be missed, and you really do have to go first thing in the morning because I mean if you think that you're like, oh, Kilimanjaro Safari, like the line will go down, it's never gonna go down.
But you know what? I found that one moves. I've never been stuck on that line and like worrying.
Right, but like from the morning onward, the wait time just keeps going up because everyone wants to do it, and most people aren't willing to just book it to the back of the park to get on it, and it's what you got to do.
Yeah.
But
so
don't bother getting a fast pass for Kilimanjaro Safari if you are willing to book it to the back of the park first thing.
Especially now that Pandora's open.
Yeah.
Everybody's there. You can go to Kilimanjaro Safari with that one. And I found out, I have not discovered this for myself, but I've heard it confirmed from multiple sources, that at 10:45 every morning, the My Disney Experience app releases a couple of Avatar Fast Passes.
Huh.
Which, I'm surprised that that's not a more well-known fact. So, not confirmed by me, but I've heard multiple people say it. Get to the park when it opens, head right back to the safari, and if you haven't been able to get a Fast Pass for Pandora, but you could walk around the Jungle Trek at 10:45, log into your My Disney Experience app, and see if you can get lucky with some Pandora Fast Passes.
Cool.
And my food item for Animal Kingdom is at Yak and Yeti, which is a sit-down restaurant in Asia.
It's right by Expedition Everest.
Yes.
So right after, you've sat on the front seat and you've
seen
all of the parks and, you watch the smoke come out of the ass of the train.
Yes, just go complete your experience by walking up to Yak and Yeti, sitting down, skipping the entrees, and getting the mango pie. My family loves it so much that we were going to have it shipped from Florida to New York for us to have for one of our desserts at Christmas because we're all obsessed. It just is one of the most delicious desserts on property. Fight me on it.
Wow.
That's it.
So let's move on to our next pack. Let's do Hollywood Studios.
Woohoo!
So as we know, Hollywood Studios, if you listen to, episode 1, we discussed the identity crisis that is currently happening.
Yeah.
So, yeah. My tip that I have for you, there are 2 thrill rides in Hollywood Studios. As it currently stands, this is pre-Galaxy's Edge, though I don't think there's any thrill rides in the way that,
for me, Slinky Dog, but...
Coward. So the 2 thrill rides, as you probably know, are Rock and Roller Coaster featuring Aerosmith. And
I've been on that. You know what? You can't actually call me chicken shit if I've been on Rock and Roller Coaster. You can't.
But you've been on Rock and Roller Coaster and you won't go on Expedition Everest?
Because
Rock and Roller Coaster is 10 times more intense. The same,
but yes, but I can handle it. You just shoot me out of there and we go through it. I can handle it.
There's all kinds of loops and stuff like that flip your stomach.
No, that I can do. It's the waiting for a big drop to happen. It's why I don't like Splash Mountain. If you just shoot me out and we do it, I'm fine.
That makes absolutely no sense.
No, I know there are people out there who will agree with me.
I don't think so. I think...
I promise that if me and Connor ever go together, we will vlog the whole thing.
And I will get her ass on all of these roller coasters.
We'll see. And I will confirm that it was awful. But anyway.
I mean, you're willing to do Rock and Roller Coaster, but you can't do a glorified frog hopper that's Tower of Terror.
It's not a glorified frog hopper.
That's what it is!
Goodbye.
Okay, so there are 2 thrill rides. Twilight Zone Tower of Terror and Rock and Roller Coaster. So my tip is you're going to need a fast pass to one of these 2 things because they are, they're the most adult rides, I think, on the whole of Walt Disney World property.
Yeah.
So they're in high demand of the people who are there who are older. So you're going to need a fast pass for one of them at least. So if you're only going to have a fast pass for one, I would say fast pass Rock and Roller Coaster, stand in the queue for Tower of Terror. And here is why. So both of them, the majority of the queue is outside.
This is Connor's queue corner.
This is Connor's queue corner. Hello, welcome. Both of them, the majority of the queue is outside, but Rock and Roller Coaster's queue is you're covered for the most part, but it's just sort of kind of like any theme park
plain, yeah.
where it's just sort of like chain sort of like stanchions that sort of like you weave back and forth and back and forth and back and forth until you actually get into like the G4 studios where you see like the posters and stuff like that, and then it starts getting air conditioned. But other than that, it's like it's covered, but it gets pretty hot and there's not a lot to sort of occupy your mind with. Versus the Tower of Terror. I mean, the Hollywood Tower Hotel is a stunning piece of architecture in that park. One of the really cool things about it is when they were constructing it, they realized that you could see it from Epcot. So what they did is the backside of the Hollywood Tower Hotel is heavily themed with more like Middle Eastern style because you could see it from Morocco. So when you are looking at the Moroccan sort of skyline from Epcot, the Tower of Terror is actually one of the buildings that you can see in it, but they blended it into the skyline so that it doesn't look out of place. But I digress again. So the Hollywood Tower Hotel, it's beautiful, and you get to walk all through the property as part of the queue. So you get to go in little courtyards here and there. There's all kinds of big fans and kind of like misters that are going to kind of keep you cool as you're walking through the outside. But it's much more appealing to look at, and there's much more movement than just a sort of like back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. You're sort of like weaving in and out of these different areas, and it's really cool. And then once you get into the hotel, there's so many cool Easter eggs that you can see of different Twilight Zone episodes. So really like take a look around the lobby, and if you're waiting in the line, that's really when you can kind of try and find all of those Easter eggs. Whereas if you're going in a fast pass queue, you're blowing right through the lobby and going right into the sort of pre-show area. And so you don't get to really take in the full theming of the space. Whereas there's not a whole lot of Easter eggs and such in the queue of Rock and Roller Coaster, even when you're inside. So it doesn't really matter if you're kind of like pushing past everyone and just going straight for the pre-show there. So that is my tip for you. If you're going to do a fast pass Rock and Roller Coaster. You don't necessarily need a fast pass for Tower of Terror. Tower of Terror is the one that you should stand in line for, because it's another opportunity to sort of build the experience. So yeah, that's
Connor's Q Corner.
And that was Connor's Q Corner.
I think we should make that a little segment. I like it.
My God. I'm obsessed with Qs. Oh my God.
He likes a Q.
I love a Q.
Well, you know.
What do you got?
I think I'm going to make my food recommendation actually my main tip.
Great.
I think one of the most unique experiences remaining in the park now that the Great Movie Ride is gone. Refer back to episode 1.
R.I.P.
Is the 50s Primetime Cafe, which is, as you may assume, is 1950s themed. You feel like you're in a 1950s kitchen, living room. It's super authentic. Some of the older members of my family who were around then are like, I think we literally had that hanging on our wall. You're going to eat, a lot of comfort, classic foods like meatloaf, pot roast, fried chicken. I mean, the food is very good, especially if you're hankering for that. Definitely go for it. But the wait staff there, they're in character. And let me just, full disclosure, I've actually gone to the 50s Primetime Cafe and had a not great experience with the wait staff. One time, our waitress, she just wasn't really in character and kind of just like, I think I'll just be kind of like a little bit like cold and rude when what they're supposed to be doing, this is a real tip, I want you to go. What they're supposed to be doing is being like, a classic mom, like keep your elbows off the table, eat your vegetables. And I know that for some people that can be like, I don't want to be in the performance, like that's too much for me. I think that Disney has really worked hard. I've been a couple of times over the past 15 years, I feel like. I think they have finally trained the staff to perfect the balance between you not feeling too on the spot, but getting the experience. And I just want to shout out, last time I was there in October, Aunt Janice was my waitress, and she made my entire trip. She was like perfectly in character. She like was scolding my parents all the time, which was super enjoyable for me. But just, she would yell at me all the time and put my phone away. And so when she sat down right next to me to take our order, and I tried to sneak my phone out and take a picture of the fact that she was sitting next to me, and she just like leaned in and made me take a selfie of us. And I really treasure that, because that's the Disney experience. Yeah. You can't get that anywhere else. There was also a server one time at another restaurant who like, he could tell that I was just like out of sorts, which shame on me for being grumpy and out of sorts in Disney. I don't know what my problem was, but he noticed and brought me over a little like light up Tinkerbell for my straw, like the child that I am. Mm-hmm. And it worked. Like, it made me so happy.
Fun facts about Caroline: if you give her any sort of accessory for a drink, she will melt in your hands.
I'm currently drinking out of my Starbucks Magic Kingdom mug that I just love.
You are here one.
I love it.
Yeah, but like, she gets her crazy straws.
Yes.
Like, that's how she got on Rock and Roller Coaster. She went on Rock and Roller Coaster for a BB-8 sipper.
Yeah.
You give her something to drink, you give her something fun to add to her drink, and you can get her to pretty much do anything.
Yeah, I like my beverage.
But yeah, I had an experience at 50's Primetime Cafe that wasn't awesome, but I don't know if that was necessarily like people that I was with.
Yeah.
And I think it was also sort of like it was, I think, at a time where they were sort of struggling to figure out the vibe, because I felt very much like it wasn't that like I was in on the theme of it. I sort of
felt, I remember you telling me this.
Yeah, it sort of felt like they were sort of like doing it at me, and so I felt like, go ahead, scold me, like that's part of the fun. But then when someone else would be scolded, like I wouldn't be in on it. Like it felt like the waitress just sort of hated everyone.
No, that's like, terrible.
And I was like, oh no, where like I had an experience at Whispering Cane Cafe, which is at Wilderness Lodge. Highly recommend it. I think it's one of the sort of like unknown sort of restaurants. But there the wait staff is like very sort of over the top. They'll do a thing where you're like, oh, I need some ketchup for my table. And they're like, oh, you want ketchup? And then they'll go around with you, and you have to ask all of the other tables in the restaurant for their bottles of ketchup and bring them back to your table.
Yes.
But like there, the staff really did a great job of sort of like making you feel like you're a part of it. Like even when you're like goofing off and stuff like that, you're doing it together.
Yeah.
And I think that is kind of like the experience that you're having.
Yeah, I want you to go back to Primetime, because I have a hunch. I just had this vibe because I watched all of the other servers. I'm like, they've unified how they're going about the character thing, and it just was just so fun.
Yeah, I'm interested in going back to see if that's
if you had Aunt Janice, you would die. You would love her.
Oh my god, she and I would be like,
you got some BBFs.
Yeah, because like I always love like a sort of very interactive sort of like dinner or some or food experience.
That's the thing.
But
I
don't like the things that like, you know, like Dick's Last Resort, where they're just like mean to you.
No.
And that's what it sort of felt like when I went to 50's Primetime, like all those years ago. But
and
I'm glad
not
that
someone
it's
who
changed.
likes. I don't really love too much like of the tension on me or like being part of the show thing. I don't really love that, and I liked this a lot. And so I guess it's the same thing. I'm going to try to point out the experiences that you just can't have anywhere else. And so since I focus on the food, my other mini tip, I suppose, is just don't sleep on Frozen for the first time in forever. I ended up in there for the first time by accident because...
For the first time in forever.
Because my boyfriend was on Tower of Terror and I wouldn't go.
And she's chicken shit,
so I just went to Frozen with the children and it was awesome. They have these amazing comedic improv actors who host the show, and every time I've gone since then, they've been uniformly excellent. And you can, like, the finale of the show when Elsa comes and does Let It Go, it sounds silly because it snows in there. It sounds pretty basic. But when you're in there, I've seen other people experience it too, adults. You're in there and like the snow is swirling around you and the music is blasting. You get like, get pretty lit.
Christ.
So don't sleep on it. It's really, really good.
See, I'm like that kind of person. Whenever the little children are singing like "Let It Go" along with like any of the nighttime shows, I'm like, "Shut up! I want to like."
I told like,
give me a Dana.
Every time people put their kids on their shoulders for any nighttime shows, I'm ready to drag them down. So if I can enjoy this, you'll be fine.
Great. Okay. So let's move on to let's do Epcot.
Oh, yay.
Let's do Epcot. Yeah, shake things up. We're gonna do Magic Kingdom last. Epcot. Epcot is my favorite park. I mean, Magic Kingdom is sort of like its own thing because I mean, like it's Magic Kingdom, but like Epcot is my favorite park.
I love Epcot so much.
Part of my tip is make Epcot your first park. Like if you're going for a trip, make Epcot your first park that you go to.
Both of our families did this the same. We would always go to Epcot first.
My dad had read in one of the unofficial guides the first time that we were going where they had said, do not go to the Magic Kingdom on your first day. Wait until either the third day or even if you're willing to make that the last park that you go to, because it's just so magical that if you go with your kids, they won't want to go to any other parks and they're going to miss out on some really, really cool things. So he always made Epcot our first park. So whenever I go to Epcot, it just feels like it's the start of vacation.
Me too. Every time. It's so funny. Yeah.
But also it just sort of like, I mean, my family, we're all sorts of into like history and like culture, and I'm really kind of into technology and stuff like that. So it was just this like perfect blend of all of those things. And
I think if you're also bringing someone to Disney who's like a little bit cynical, go to Epcot first, especially to the World Showcase, because it's so sophisticated. It's really just, that can just be a vacation destination because you can have some drinks and food around the world and just chill.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I really like it because I mean, another one of the things I think really sets Disney parks apart from anything else is you get really cool opportunities to not only have fun, but to learn. I mean, learn in a very sort of general sense, because I mean, you're not getting any type of like sit down in a classroom, like we're going to go like real specifics. Like when I was talking about Pirates of the Caribbean, you're not going to the Pirates of the Caribbean to learn explicitly about pirates, but it might be like it's an introduction, like it's like a springboard. And
all of the employees at the different countries in the World Showcase are actually from the nation of that pavilion. Super cool.
Like Epcot is a great place to sort of go to springboard a lot of interesting things. Like, I mean, I just remember how many countries I didn't know existed when I was a kid.
Yes, totally.
Like my family, we were so into Norway and Norwegian culture, and our only way that we were really exposed to it was through the Norway Pavilion. And then now everyone's obsessed with the Norway Pavilion because of Frozen. But like Norway was like our shit. Like we loved it for such a long time because I think it was also because
the Maelstrom ride. I loved it.
That's gonna be a rant.
Yeah,
prepare yourselves. That's gonna be a rant. But yeah, I would like go to Epcot first. I think it's the most unique park in Disney, and I think it might be one of the most unique parks that's sort of ever been created for like a theme park. So yeah, go there first. You know, have some fun there. So Epcot is one of the best parks to go to if you're looking for souvenirs, because you've got Mouse Gear, which pretty much has everything, all of the sort of basic merchandise.
That's my favorite large souvenir.
Yeah, because it's incredibly well planned out, because there's so many entrances and exits to that actual store, so it never really feels crowded because people can sort of pop in and pop out as needed. But it has all of the basic merchandise that you would get at like World of Disney, or that you'd get at like the Emporium in the Magic Kingdom and things like that. So if you're looking for sort of basic merchandise like stuffed animals and things like that, go there. Don't bog yourself down in some of the other parks that are like, especially Magic Kingdom, where the gift shops are going to be so crowded.
Oh my gosh.
And everyone's going to be trying to make final purchases as they're like leaving the park.
And also, I would say, if you're following our advice and going to Epcot first, we were talking about this, how like you have to really strategize your souvenirs. There's so much available to you, it's going to blow your mind. And we were saying, as far as apparel goes, you can't go to Disney World and not either end up with a pair of ears, or a t-shirt or a sweatshirt.
Yeah.
Pick that, be freaks like us, and look on the Shop Disney Parks, which that app is going to be gone soon, so this will be dated. But check out what they have, and you have a general idea of an item that you're going to want to wear around the parks, and get that on your first day, because you don't want to, I've done this, I get all wishy-washy about what ears I'm going to get, and then I waste my time, and then half the week goes by, and I didn't have any cool ears to wear.
Yeah. So I would say if you're getting like apparel or like hats or headwear or something like that, get those on the first day, and you can get them in Epcot, and then you'll have it for your whole trip. But all of the other souvenirs, wait until you've seen it, because there's so much that you can see. And then Epcot is the place where I think you have the most souvenirs sort of at your fingertips, because you've also got the entire World Showcase that has very, very specific souvenirs that you cannot get anywhere else, including Disney Springs.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the things that you can get from those pavilions, the World Showcase, are actually imported from the countries. Like if you go into Italy, they have masks from Venice. If you go to Germany, they have steins and apparel that is imported from Germany.
Yeah.
In the Norway pavilion, you can get sweaters and things like that. Even colognes and perfumes.
The sweaters are intense. Yeah,
you can get the colognes and perfumes that are imported from Norway. So I think it's the best place to get souvenirs, and so I think it's good to start there so that you can really sort of be like, okay, this is what I'm working with.
Yeah, and you want if you want to get a souvenir for someone who doesn't want something with Mickey on it, it's so many great options.
And then make it your last place, so then you're sort of like coming back home and you're like, okay, great. Now I'm going to take the opportunity to sort of make sure I've got everything that I want, and if I haven't gotten it yet, this is the place I have the most options to get my stuff. So from just a very, very surface level practical standpoint, Epcot's the place to go if you want to get some serious souvenirs, both for yourself and for other people, because you're going to get the most unique gifts, especially as you get older. I mean, the stuff that you can get from the World Showcase they're things that you can put up in your home that like you're not like, oh, this is for a child, very Disney.
Yeah, I got this fabulous it's still Disney related, but I got this beautiful ring that's in this like glass and jewelry store in the Germany pavilion. That's it's actually Belle's silhouette on the ring, but you can't tell unless you really look at it. And that was like the perfect souvenir for me as a 20-something. Belle's there, but it just looks like regular beautiful gold jewelry. It's grown up and subtle. It's
and it's nice. Like Disney collaboration sort of thing, where it's like Disney by Mexico, or like Disney by the Morocco Pavilion. Yeah. So that's
That's a really good one, actually. I like that a lot.
That's my it's a very basic, very
no, but I think that's something that people wouldn't think of. I think that's a really good one.
Yeah. So make Epcot your place for the souvenirs. You won't be disappointed.
Yes.
What you got, baby?
Well, it's just so hard to choose food. I mean, honestly, Epcot, maybe it is the best park. Because if you want to shop, it's the place. And if you want to eat and drink and chill, it's the place. Because every pavilion has something really delicious. I could have made a really quick list of one item in every pavilion, because I've eaten around the world. I haven't done the drink around the world thing. I don't want to, it's too hot. I'm not doing that.
You have to ship yourself back on the boat.
As far as alcoholic beverages though, the Grand Marnier slush at this kiosk in the France Pavilion, me and my mom get at least 2 of these every trip.
I've never had this.
It's Grand Marnier, which is a orangish liqueur, put in a very delicious.
You're a very citrusy girl.
I like my citrusy alcohols for sure. Yeah, that's very true. But it's not overwhelming, and the slush that they put it in isn't so orangey. It's almost creamsicle-ish, and it's so refreshing. But it also, thank you, like really has alcohol in it.
Oh,
so
nice.
Yeah,
so you'll get a nice buzz this year.
The last time me and my mom were there, we opened the trip with it and we closed the trip with one. Nice. I mean each. So
nice.
But so I guess my other tip is, as far as there's some really nice fireworks things that used to be happening at Epcot and will be happening. So Illuminations is gone. I saw it for the last time when I went in October and did this tip that I'm about to explain. But Epcot Forever is coming for a year.
Fun thing about Epcot Forever is the score of Illuminations is probably the best score for a nighttime spectacular that's ever been done. Hands down, I'll fight you on it. And they're going to incorporate some of the score from Illuminations into Epcot Forever. So, yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Go back to your tip. I'm sorry. I keep interrupting.
But, so when I saw Illuminations for the last time, I ate at Spice Road Table, which is a newer restaurant in Morocco. There's, Restaurant Marrakesh is the one that's in the back that's always been there. But Morocco and Mexico have both opened some new restaurants that are right on the World Showcase Lagoon that have that are either open air or have really large windows. I don't think that the New Mexico one is open air. I think I ate there. It's just windows, or is there a little patio?
It's.
I sat inside.
It's pretty open air.
Yeah, I would pick Spice Road Table though, because they have got, first of all, just some amazing deliciousness going on. They have hummus fries that defy description and you must have. So there's another dish to have. But make a reservation for Spice Road Table about an hour and a half, 2 hours before the fireworks show. If you make it any later, all of the tables along the railing are going to be taken already. Have a very nice leisurely meal. Have a couple of courses. Have a couple of drinks. The sangria there is really good. Get a dessert. The dessert was really good too. And then you'll have a really wonderful front row seat for the fireworks. So it was nice to say goodbye to Illuminations, just sitting and having a drink. It was really good. So
my sadness was it's been so long since I've been to Disney that there are so many things that have gone that I rode or I saw for the last time.
You didn't know.
And I didn't know that it was going to be like I watched Illuminations for the last time and I didn't know. I watched Wishes for the last time I didn't know it.
Yep. Another tip that I have not experienced myself, but I've heard about is, so the World Showcase opens later than Future World does in Epcot. World Showcase doesn't open until 11. But Akershus, which is the restaurant in Norway, they do a princess breakfast now. And obviously they have breakfast at normal breakfast hours, so you can make a 9:15 reservation, have your breakfast with the princesses. And then you'll usually be able to hop onto the Frozen ride as you're leaving, where World Showcase isn't 100% open yet, but Disney cast members are good people, and obviously you're a big princess fan, they'll get you onto the Frozen ride, which is so beyond popular, and the waits are so long, and the fast passes go immediately. So
and it's such a short ride.
It is. Also, when I was on it the first time, at the end, Olaf's head had fallen off, so it was pretty horrific.
See, I had almost sort of want to go on for those moments.
It was really hilarious.
Oh my god. Great. So that is our Epcot. Last but certainly not least, the Magic Kingdom. So
we're about to go off. I can feel it.
Okay, so this is a little secret tip that I never read anywhere or no one had ever told me, but I sort of stumbled upon. And I stumbled upon with my two sisters and my dad. So one time when we were there, we were in Tomorrowland, and we had decided that we were going to go on the Astro Orbiter because we realized we had never really done it before, because we were sort of the mindset, it's essentially the same thing as the Dumbo ride. We've been on the Dumbo ride because that's a classic. We usually go on that first thing for tradition's sake. And so we were like, okay, let's do it. It's something we've never done before. And for those of you who don't know, Astro Orbiter, it is essentially the Dumbo ride, but you're in little 1 to 2 person rockets that go around and around and around, and you control the height of it. And then there's a bunch of planets that are up there, and it's like you're in a rocket going through space and stuff like that. But it's outdoors. There's no sorts of structure or anything. But one of the really cool things about it is that you have to take an elevator up to the platform where the actual rockets are, and then from there your rocket goes higher. And these things, they go pretty high, which is pretty cool. So we had never done it before. We went on, and so we're on the ride, and we just so happened to hit the Astro Orbiter at sunset. And as we're going on and the sun's going down, I mean, the colors over the sky are just like stunning.
Oh, I'm thinking of the pinky yellow color now. It's just perfect.
And we're looking all around. We have this amazing view of the park, and then it starts to happen. We see all of the lights of the entire park start coming on. So like we get to see the lights that are in the canyons of Big Thunder Mountain and the lights of Splash Mountain with Chicken Falls like come up. We see the lights on the castle start coming up. We see Fantasyland sort of like come alive with all these sort of like twinkling lights in the trees and everything. And
I'm just going to save a recording of you describing that for, like, my nights. Because it's just so, like, peaceful.
It was, I like, as it was happening, we all sort of, like, looked back at each other in our little rockets. And we were like, are you seeing this? It was one of the most beautiful experiences I've ever had in the Disney park. Because it's like a city. Like, the Magic Kingdom is like a city. And like all of the lights more or less sort of come on at the same time, like they come on together, and so you just sort of watch the park transform, and like it's kind of like this acknowledgement of like, you know, you've had this amazing day of fun in the park, and then as soon as the sun goes down and those lights come on, it's like a sigh, like it's like we had this amazing day, but like it's not over yet. There's
Magic
still like
Kingdom at Golden Hour. You can't beat it.
I mean, we're Golden Hour. We're like 2 stories in the air, overlooking the park with like the wind rushing in our faces.
I can feel it when you describe. We're gonna release a meditation that is Conor describing the approach of Golden Hour at Magic Kingdom.
So
10 out of 10, I would listen.
So I mean, it was one of the most beautiful experiences I think we've ever had. It was just so simple and so happenstance.
Yes, when people talk about it being the happiest place on earth, it's things like that.
Yeah, and so I would say I'm like, if you are around Tomorrowland, around Sunset, get your ass over to Astro Orbiter, because you will get a view of Magic Kingdom that you can't really get anywhere else apart from, I would say, at the top of Splash Mountain for a split second before you come like
you can do the people mover too, but it's not quite the same.
It's not quite as high. Like when you're up in the air of the Astro Orbiter and you're watching it, it's just it's magic. It's not the kind of like magic. Like it's
subtle grown up magic.
It's grown up magic.
It's our brand. It's what we love.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is grown up magic.
Magic.
This is a grown up magic show.
It is.
But I would say it Sunset, Astro Orbiter. Yeah. Be there, you won't regret it.
And just don't ever skip the people mover.
Yeah,
it's such a gem of a ride.
Yeah,
and it's hard
really
to explain why. You just have to experience it.
Yeah.
It looks like a little tram, so I feel like a lot of first-time visitors are like, I'm going to go on the actual rides. Why would I go on that?
Yeah, and they're like...
It's wonderful.
And it's also like a tram that doesn't sort of like drop you off throughout the park.
Yeah,
like,
no,
it's not like...
you drop it right back.
It's not like out of convenience of like, oh, I'm trying to get from this place to this place. Kind of like the railroad. It's just like, oh, no. We'll sort of drop you off like exactly where you came on, but we're just going to sort of like zip you all around Tomorrowland.
But once you go on it, you'll understand why so many of these like Instagram or like merch, like individual merch shops, and now Disney too, make T-shirts about the people mover. Yeah, it's a cult classic.
It's a cult classic, and I can't put my thumb on it.
Yeah, I can't. You'll agree when you ride it. I know you will.
You're just like, oh, the future, like.
I think that's what it is.
I think that's what it is. Where you're like, oh, this is what the future's going to be like. I don't know. But yeah, so that's my little.
That was tip. Very calming for me. I am ready for bed now. Oh. I'm gonna make you say that to me when I go to bed tonight.
All right.
You're gonna be like, the wind is rushing in your hair.
Yeah. Oh.
The lights on Main Street are coming on, and you're happy.
That's the lie.
That's great. Oh.
All right, Carol, what do you got for me?
Everything is tied to food, but we're just going to roll with it.
You're hungry tonight.
I'm always hungry. I go to Disney to experience the magic and then to eat. Honestly, eating is first. Make your dining reservations way early, people, but we'll get there in a moment with my other tip. But One of my cool little, I guess this isn't even a tip, it's more just like a little Easter eggy kind of thing. One time, me and my mom were in the park early. It wasn't right at rope drop, but it was still very early in the morning. Everything was just opening up. We wanted to have Dole Whip for breakfast because it's vacation. Actually, we wanted the Orange Bird Swirl, which I actually prefer to Dole Whip, even though I love Dole Whip. Those are both in Adventureland. Yeah, we could have a whole thing about that too.
Pew pew
pew pew. Those are those counters are both in Adventureland. So we're there chilling, having ice cream for breakfast essentially, and then out walk Aladdin and Jasmine just walking around, and I was like, oh my god, I thought they were just going to their character spot. They just walk over to the Magic Carpets of Aladdin ride, which again is the same, it's the Dumbo model of just like a bunch of carpets that go around in a circle, but I really enjoy.
And sometimes you get spit on by a camel.
Yes,
it's fun
or not fun, depending on the day. And they walk up to the ride, and there's like a little girl who's getting on the ride, and they get onto the carpet with her.
Dead. And
ride the ride with her. I'm like, at that point, have run up to the ride. I'm like screaming, trying to catch the moment, like, because they're spinning by so fast. I'm like running around trying to catch it, because it was just so magical to see them on their own ride, and also just making. This little girl was looking at Jasmine like her brain was about to explode, and so was I. And so we found out from a cast member that very early in the morning in Magic Kingdom, characters will come out and ride their rides. So Alice and either the Mad Hatter or the White Rabbit will go and ride the teacups early in the morning. So you could have this, again, one of a kind experience where you ride the ride with the characters.
Is it just those two?
I heard there was another one. My gut is telling me it was Cinderella with the carousel.
Does Peter Pan ride Peter Pan's Flight?
Maybe that's what it was. That might have been the one.
Like Peter and Wendy.
I think that was the one, actually.
Be fun.
Especially because his character spot is right by the ride. It would make sense. Yeah. I think that might be what it is. But yeah, cool. You have to get there early in the morning to catch that. It was so special.
Can you imagine, like, Brer Rabbit and Brer Fox and Brer Bear, like, on...
And that would just be a rare character sighting already. It would be so
like,
cool.
on Splash Mountain and getting those, like, awful furry costumes just soaked.
What do you mean? They're costumes. It's Brer Rabbit.
Can you imagine them getting their fur, their actual real animal fur, just soaking wet?
So my other thing that I want to discuss is a very...
You keep doing two, and I keep doing one.
But it's food related, and this one specifically is a hot topic for both of us. So we're gonna collab.
Okay.
It's Conor x Caroline x Be Our Guest restaurant. Here we go, everybody.
Okay, Be Our Guest.
So first of all, Be Our Guest and Cinderella's Table are the two restaurants in Disney where you can start to make dining reservations 180 days out from when you want to go to the restaurant.
And that's for any restaurant in Disney. Including ones at resorts.
Yes, exactly. And those open at a specific time that I don't remember. But those two restaurants, if you want a reservation there, you have to like be logged into the system at that moment, because they just go.
They will go so fast. I was planning our most recent trip. It was right after the Be Our Guest had just opened, and I knew about the 180 days rule, and I was there and I was ready to go.
Yes.
And there was, of all of the days that we were in the park, there was only one time slot available for Be Our Guest, and it was 9 p.m.
And you took it.
Yeah, it was 9 p.m. and it was like our last day in the Magic Kingdom. And I was like, we have to do this. And we would miss Wishes, but we went, I was like, we'll go to Wishes another day in the park. And it actually worked out really well, because when you're back there and the fireworks are happening and everything like that, everyone else is on the complete other side of the castle. So when you're coming out of the restaurant, Fantasyland is just sort of like empty.
Fantasyland at night. And again, it's the same feeling as the Golden Hour on Main Street or Twilight. It's so awesome.
So you can just like hop on some stuff. So like as you're leaving, so like,
especially because all the little kids are going home.
Yeah, and so like we went on we never would have done this, but we went into the story time with Belle in Belle and Maurice's cottage, and it was fucking awesome.
Also so themed.
Yeah, so like we had a whole little Beauty and the Beast
I always think of the Fantasyland rides, I associate it with nighttime because I just wait till the kids leave and then I go on them.
Yeah.
Like, I dragged my family on It's a Small World last time. Everybody fell asleep on it except me. I was just like, it's not.
But yeah, if you want Cinderella's royal table. If you want Be Our Guest, you have to hit it.
Yeah.
It's 6 months out.
And as far while we're on the topic of Cinderella's royal table, it's a princess experience. If you can't get it, you can go to Akershus in Norway for your princesses.
So people are pretty privy to the fact that Akershus has that as well.
Yes.
So
and now I highly recommend the Bon Voyage breakfast at Trattoria Al Forno at the Boardwalk Resort, which is very close to Epcot. You can just walk.
I saw your Insta pictures of this.
I had a blast at that. So Ariel and Eric are there, and Rapunzel and Flynn are there.
Yes, and Rapunzel and Flynn, Flynn is a very hard face character to find. Mm-hmm. He used to be a permanent face character when Rapunzel and Flynn occupied the storybook.
Yes, where Merida was there at one point.
Yeah, storybooks. I forget what it's called, like Storybook Theater or something like that. But then they got replaced by Merida. But Flynn is one of the best face characters you can see. And here is my little tip for you that I learned from a cast member, and I told everyone.
And we did this when we met him there.
Flynn goes around. He's carrying his satchel. Ask him to look inside his satchel, because he has a full-blown, and I am not kidding you, it is a stunning, like, probably a Rebus Brothers, like, there's, like, some hefty, like, jewels put in here, crown. Yeah. It's Rapunzel's crown, but he will never voluntarily show it to you. You have to specifically ask to look inside his satchel.
Super cool.
When you see Flynn, which right now, I think you can really only see him at the Bon Voyage breakfast.
I think so. Yeah,
make sure that you ask him to look in the satchel. You will be blown away with what you see. It's really awesome.
And because, sure, there's not a wide range of princesses, but because it's not super crowded and popular, you get so much time with them. And Flynn took like 20 minutes without, like, he was there for so long. Yeah, he taught my boyfriend how to smolder. I have the most priceless photo of that ever. And the food there is, one, excellent, and two, just so well themed. They bring out these little, like, pastries that are themed for Rapunzel and Ariel. I got the stack of pancakes that's supposed to be like Rapunzel's tower. All about it. But I digress.
Oh, we have gone way.
We had to talk about this, though. Yeah. So back to what I was going to make the point about is sometimes you just need to see the princesses. If you don't, and you just want a themed, very Disney experience, go to Be Our Guest instead.
It's the most incredible dinner experience I have ever had in my life, and that is no exaggeration. The day that was where I celebrated my 21st birthday.
I mean, perfect.
And without a doubt, it's one of the best days of my life. I count it as one of the, like, top 5 days of my life. A little tip for that. So there are 3 rooms inside Be Our Guest that you can sit in to eat. One is the ballroom, of course. It's the largest room, where it's beautiful, and they have orchestral arrangements of music from Beauty and the Beast and Beauty and the Beast, the Broadway show.
Everyone wants to sit there.
Everyone wants to sit there. It's snowing perpetually outside.
Yes.
It's absolutely stunning. It's a complete recreation. You're stepping into the movie. They also have the West Wing. The West Wing is a really cool area because there's a lot of special effects that happen around you. So there's, like, the rose is there, and it's like,
it looks super cool.
It's really awesome.
And, like, his ripped up portrait,
his ripped up portrait's there, and then, like, there's lightning flashes, and the portrait sort of, like, changes to reveal the beast, and, like,
and so I always have to say this: if you have someone in your party who has light sensitivity or gets seizures, which my cousin does, don't let them seat you in there, because it was really all the light flashing is no good. So just be careful.
And the Disney cast members, they'll be more than happy to accommodate you. And then the other room is this sort of, people call it the library, but it's not the library at all. It's like a portrait room.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, like, it's not a great room. I'm going to be completely honest. I think they really missed an opportunity to, like, do the library, eat in the library. That would have been absolutely awesome.
Oh, yeah. Wait.
Or the parlor, like.
No, the library. I've been so into that.
Yeah.
I always dreamed when I would watch the Beauty and the Beast movie.
Disney, listen to my.
We're gonna redo
ideas.
The garden room.
They belong to me, so you can pay me for them.
Didn't you always, when they show the library in the movie, for some reason, I was always fixated on, I wanted to go up the ladder to like the second level of books.
Oh,
like if I could eat up there, I would freak.
Absolutely.
It'd be awesome.
The like center of the room where there's that
yes,
piece that sort of like is rounded.
I was obsessed with that. I was like, I must go up there.
The bump out. Yeah.
That's so specific.
It's
I'm
very
so
specific.
glad you knew what I was talking about.
I was very lucky. I sat in the ballroom. We were under the center chandelier. Like it was blessed. The single best seat in the entire restaurant. And I had the best meal of my life. It was the best steak I've ever had with some pommes frites, and it was so good. But like as we put our name in to check in because we had our reservation, I told the cast member, I was like, "Hey, I really want to be seated in the ballroom." They were like, "Well, we can't really make any guarantees or whatever." And I said, "May I please wait until you have availability in the ballroom?" And they were like, "You want to do that?" And I said, "Yes, I'm willing to do it." And they were like, "Okay, we don't know how long that'll be." And I was like, "That's fine." And sure enough, I mean, it did not take us long at all. Like, we hardly waited. And then we were in. So if there is a specific room that you would like to sit in, I know everyone wants to go for the ballroom, but I mean, when I walked into the West Wing was
cool, yeah.
It's pretty cool. Tell the cast member. And I mean, if you're willing to wait for it, wait for it.
And if you're aggressive like me, you can really, it's your time to shine if you decide to have breakfast or lunch at Be Our Guest, because that's quick service and you seat yourself. And so I just like glared and like rearranged things until we got that pretty much center table in the ballroom also. So yeah, if you can't get a reservation for sit down dinner, do the quick service. That gets super crowded too, but the food that I've had there is really excellent. If you can make it happen, you can really just pick where you want to sit and make it happen.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend, if there is a reservation that you're going to try for, do everything in your power to get a dinner reservation at Be Our Guest. It's an experience that you absolutely cannot get anywhere else. You step into a Disney movie in a way that I don't think anything else can give you.
Yes, exactly. It's the same thing. You can't get this anywhere else.
Is that everything that we want to say about Be Our Guest?
Yeah, I mean, it led me onto, it could lead me into a whole nother dining tangent, but we'll just save it. There's so much we will have many episodes about Disney World.
We will.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be 4 more episodes until you get another tips and tricks.
Yeah. So it's easiest to do tips and tricks about Disney World. We'll do them about other things, but reach out to us on Twitter or Instagram and let us know if there's specific things about Disney World you want to know about, and we can focus on that.
On Facebook and Instagram, we are at Poor Unfortunate Podcast, or you can reach out to us on Twitter. We are at UnfortunatePod. You can also email us at poorunfortunatepodcast@gmail.com.
Classic.
So
our moms are going to do that. My mom's going to be like, the email address.
Yeah, your mom will.
She'll
email from her iPad.
Definitely.
She'll be playing her little piano game, and then she'll be like, "Oh, I need to email Conor and Caroline," and just switch over.
I can't wait for her to hear this. I hope she actually listens and doesn't turn it off after the first episode.
She'll be like, "It's too long. It's boring."
She asks about that all the time. She's like, "How long are they gonna be? How long are they gonna be?" I'm like, probably about like 40 minutes. She's like, "It's too long." I was like, she doesn't even know what a podcast is.
You'll sit down for 2 hours of Game of Thrones.
She'll sit down for 2 hours and play the piano game or draw something.
She can put this on the background while she's playing the piano game.
There you go. You heard it here first,
Lori, just put this on the background. Get out of here.
Get out of here.
Great. So I think that's everything that we've got for you. Until next week. Beluga Sabruga, bitches.